If you ever want to explain the absurdity of the NFT world to anybody that is outside of it, just explain to them that you sold a picture of text that said cock ring on it for what? They were going for like 5 ETH at the time.
Yeah,
Like,
5, 6
Yeah,
ETH,
the
I think.
floor was insane on those.
wild. All right, guys, what's going on? It is Thursday, October 20th, and we are back with episode 12 of Exit Liquidity. Yeah, I was trying to remember. We did the 1-1 thing last time.
We did the one.
Actually looked pretty cool. Look at us go. We are just some fancy MFers here on an NFT podcast. But yes, it is Exit Liquidity number 12, and I'm joined with me, as always, by Dirty Milk and Drip Call. What's going on, gentlemen?
What's up, fam? How we doing?
We are we're doing all right, man. Just living the dream up here in Canada. It is getting cold up here now. The temperature swings are more dramatic than the NFT swings these days. But it reminds me that I'm still alive, I guess.
I could agree with that. We're getting some weird swings here too. I imagine that they're a lot worse where you're at because we don't get too cold here, but it's going like 60 at night, like maybe 50 at night to like 90s during the day right now. It's weird.
Yeah, that's pretty dramatic. People don't understand about, especially where I am in Canada. Our seasons are very dramatically different from each other, right? Like we get down to, I'm gonna try and put this in Fahrenheit terms, but like we'll get down to like 0 or below in Fahrenheit in the winter. And we'll also get up to like 105 in the summer, right? Ooh. So like it gets really hot here, and people know we have summer, and they know it gets warm here, but like it gets actually dramatically hot and humid as shit too. So Canada is a fun place to live because we get all of the seasons all the time.
We get 2 seasons. I get summer and kind of summer.
Sounds awful. I'm so upset for you, honestly. Drip's in Boise, so I mean he's about to experience his first Idaho winter. And
no, we moved here last year, mid-winter. So.
Has it been that long already?
January, yeah.
No kidding, eh? Wow.
Yeah. Well, I guess technically it has been a year, but like technically it's last winter season, so we're still in fall. Like this morning, it was like 40 when we were walking the dogs.
Right.
So
wow, time really does fly. I know that sounds corny, but
it does. Yeah, dude. It was like it's been over a year since I moved to Amsterdam. Now it's passed. It's been like a month. It's wild, dude.
I even did that, to be honest.
Yeah, it was wild. Yeah, it's like peak NFT run. We were like I was overseas, end of last year.
That's NFT. Right. Yeah, different times. Well, the world has changed a whole lot since then, but
has it changed too much? I mean, we're gonna cover it in a minute, but
the more things change, the more they might stay the same.
Reoccurring NFT villains come back. So
you just dropped the spoiler alert. Yeah, that's right. Well, on this episode, we are going to be talking about the Blur drop. That's pretty exciting. We've had access to it for a while over at AlphaMint. Shout out.
Yeah.
But it is
AlphaMint members got early access to beta.
Yeah, but incredibly hype, incredibly exciting. People are talking about it all over Twitter. And that will lead into the discussion about everyone's favorite person, Beanie. He's back and ready to shill again. I think we got Lord of the Rings NFTs dropping, Warner Brothers hopping in. We're going to talk about that and maybe some of the potentially really exciting IP that might be on the horizon joining Web3. And then we'll talk about maybe the house sale that happened on OpenSea. Interesting. People always trying to find ways to cross the digital landscape with the physical one. Azuki kind of doing something in that line as well. So on that note, you ready to fire it up?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Just to set the stage for everyone, right now, crypto's kind of just been bouncing back and forth between a range for the last last week since we've been on the show. 1,300 for ETH, just under 20K for Bitcoin. Not that important, not that exciting. NFT volume, as we say every week, not overly exciting either. A lot of the free mints, a lot of the junk mints seem to be less and less relevant. And you know what? Honestly, if my experience with bear markets is any indication of what's going on right now, might not be the worst thing in terms of having a reset. It was very, very, very quiet when crypto started to go back on its bull run in 2020. And then slowly but surely people come back in. But I just think you need the last of those diehard supporters to start dropping off and disappearing. It's just the way that it goes. And then, you know, once you get that reset, it's time for game on. So maybe we're getting there. I don't know. It's hard to predict. Could be a week, could be a month, could be a year. But all I know is we'll still be doing this, I think, in the meantime. Or maybe we need the show to stop. Maybe that's what'll kick off the next bull run.
Imagine it's our fault.
Too much attention on NFTs.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of attention, Blur is getting a lot of attention right now. Blur is a marketplace / trading platform that we often use for the visuals on this show. It's dramatically faster than things like Genie and Gem with its update speed. It's got incredible user interface, incredible amounts of tools for more advanced traders to access. Maybe one of the reasons why OpenSea just dropped their analytics tool on their page. We didn't even talk about that in the pre-show, so you don't have that lined up, but maybe trying to keep up a little bit there. Blur Drip, why don't you just get into it, because you use it the most out of all of us, and explain to us why everyone is so hyped on this.
I mean, everyone's hyped because everyone thinks it's going to bring back airdrop season, and it's going to, you know, first and foremost, bring back the bull market. I'm just reading. I forgot they did this too. They're doing like a optional marketplace fees and royalty fees as well. But
well, we saw X2 and Y2 do the optional marketplace fees too, and I think much to most people's surprise, many continued to opt into paying the royalties to the creators.
Didn't somebody else, like another platform, like Magic Eden?
Magic Eden started doing that too, but Magic Eden and Solana kind of all over the place with that right now. And Solana has a bit of a different problem where, and actually Tyler Hobbs just weighed in on this and basically said this is a good indication that Ethereum is a more serious platform for trading and collecting, because the demand on Solana for 0% everything has been incredibly high, whereas on ETH, even in that experimental X2 Y2 thing, it turns out most people don't mind paying the creator fees, provided there's a reason for them and they're reasonable, right? Like, I think we're past the point that 10% is a reasonable creator fee. Like, that is just too high of a vig on top of every transaction. But if a team is trying to build and grow and develop and pay people to work on the project, yeah, maybe between a 2.5% and a 5%, depending on how ambitious the project is, isn't really that unreasonable. And I think that I think it's gone a long way to show that creator fees are one of the good reasons for NFT's existence too, right? That was one of the reasons why I got excited about it. I was like, oh, like people can create this work, people can release something, and they get to experience participate in the success of it after, right? Could you imagine if the Van Gogh estate got 5% of every transaction that, on top of their paintings? I mean, it would be incredible for that family. I'm sure they're fine anyways, maybe, I don't know. But
at the time that you had those thoughts, did you understand that royalties were not on a contract level?
No, but it didn't take me long to find that conclusion. And then really when you dig down into it, you understand that they can't be on a contract level.
Of course. Now, who started why are royalties a thing? I know that's probably a whole different conversation, but I just is there in particular, is there something that kicked off royalties? Is there?
I do just think it was probably the incentive to have artists come over in the first place to say like, hey, this is an exciting new technology, a way to actually tokenize and legitimize your artwork in a digital sense, rather than just releasing a JPEG and everybody can right click and save it, which you can with an NFT anyways, but at least the original one has some provenance. But I do think that it was, I mean, you can call it a marketing ploy to get them to, but I think that it was just the fundamental idea of it drew enough people in, and I think it was sticky enough to justify staying around.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
makes sense. But back to the matter at hand. Blur, Drip, you want to keep going on? I'm sorry, I completely cut you off and went on a tangent.
No, it's fine. It's the never ending royalties debate, which I don't know, kind of over it, but like, that's why I'm just like letting you guys talk.
Yeah,
But
no, for sure. I think we all are. Yeah.
no, I mean it's the same thing. Everyone wants to pay creators. We get it. Cool. Like market's going to decide separately. Like what are you going to do? However, Blur does have a way around this, and it might actually be a solution, which is they're doing a token drop. They're doing the Blur token drop, and in order to maximize your airdrop returns, they're incentivizing people to list and with royalties on their marketplace. So as you can see on the chart here, max rewards, full royalties, low rewards, no royalties. So I don't know if people should still be getting rewarded for no royalties. I don't know. That's on them. That's their decision. Maybe it's literally like one token or a percentage of a token. I don't know, but I think this is an interesting way to approach the royalties debate as a marketplace. So I think they're still going to get a percentage of each transaction, obviously, and then they'll incentivize people to potentially pay royalties. However, obviously, if the Blur token's not worth anything, then is anyone going to care or even list for royalties?
That's the age-old token debate, right? Is that you can't really, well, at least the team can't really ascribe a value to said token. Like they kind of have to operate in this one blur equals one blur, and then let the market decide if it has any kind of intrinsic value. I guess the question is, why should it have value? I know things like Looks Rare, they're using it as not only a staking tool, but like the kickback tool of like you traded, you bought something, here's a little bit of looks in. X2Y2 does the same thing. But where the actual value comes in, I think it's just this weird cyclical thing of like, Looks Rare has volume exists, token exists, therefore token has, like, you know what I mean? Like it's just kind of this thing, and if the volume dries up, then it's not really worth anything. I think a lot of them also get around some loopholes by calling them governance tokens. I believe that's X2Y2's thing. We also talked about ApeCoin, right? Like that's a governance token that the SEC is still like, yeah, are you really sure about that, or is it security? So there's lots of weird discussion about how these things actually can be valuable. But I mean, you're right. Blur has got some people talking, got people excited. Airdrops were a good way to just like oddly enough infuse some liquidity into the market.
It's got a ton of people talking. I mean, if you go on Twitter right now, the whole timeline is just filled with people talking about Blur. And some people were definitely kind of like, what's going on here? This is a little red flaggy to me. I mean, everyone happens to be talking about this at the same exact time, especially some pretty well-known influencers who, were investors. I think they listed them. Where did they go? Yeah, like, I mean, these are all well-known people. Punk6529, Cosmo Medici, like Zeneca, like D's, like these are all very well-known, well-followed, well-trusted, and they can definitely move floors if they start talking about things, and they can generate a ton of attention and interest in things if they're talking about it. So people are definitely kind of like, what this is. I mean, it was coordinated obviously, but like it's definitely very like pumpy, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. And what is the lowdown on the airdrop that they're doing right now?
So if you were in the beta, so there's going to be two different airdrops. So there is the airdrop. If you go on to the marketplace, you can go to the airdrop tab. So the first one is if you use the platform, you're going to be essentially generating airdrop opportunities until January. And then if you are in the beta, you will not only be generating airdrop opportunities if you keep using it until January, but also like for using it and being a beta tester, you're going to get a separate airdrop. I'm not exactly sure if they've specified what exactly that is or what that looks like yet, but if you're beta, you're going to get rewarded twice as much. Other than that, I don't have specifics because I don't think there are any quite yet.
Shout out to the Alpha Mint members that took advantage of that beta access, though, because it's an exciting time for Blur. All right. Well, speaking of the list of investors in there, one name that they did not mention in that, and I don't know if they should have or not, or maybe he's just talking out of his ass. Beanie is back, baby. For those of you that don't know, Beanie is, I want to say one of the most polarizing figures in NFTs, but I don't even know if he's polarizing at this point. Like, I just think that most people that were around for the shenanigans seem to deem Beanie not the most savory of characters. Like, is Beanie really even a love him or hate him character at this point, or is it just like he's the villain?
I feel like you fall into like three camps. It's like, one, you hate him because you got dumped on, or you were in a project that he was in and it failed miserably.
Mhm.
Or sorry, that he promoted. He never pumped and dumped anything, according to him.
According to
Two,
him.
you know he's a scumbag and he's a serial scammer, but you still made money off of him, so you're kind of like, whatever. And then three, like, you only made money off of him, so you're like, whatever, he can do no wrong. Like, I feel like that's you're in one of three camps. Or I guess the new one too is most people don't know who that is, because there's a whole new wave of NFT people who have never experienced Beanie or Beanie Pump.
Yeah, especially because he was just on like some Solana spaces too, and obviously his interactions was essentially with the ETH chain only, right? So Solana maxis beware. Beanie Maxi is probably not the person that you'll want to follow too. With too much conviction, I guess, because you mentioned that there were people that made a lot of money off him. Like, hell yeah, there were, but those were the people that were willing to sell, like, peak Beanie hype,
I mean,
right? If you bought into Beanie, if you bought in, if there was one thing he was good at, was talking the talk, right? Like,
dude, great at promo. Like,
he would be out there like, we are going to change the world. What Drip or Dirty? What did he say about Blue? Like, I'm going to spend my life integrating.
I'm gonna make it my life mission to integrate it into everything that I do.
It was B-Gold, yeah.
And it was just like,
right.
I don't know. The third option of people are my least favorite type of people. The people that made money, so they think that he did no wrong.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I'll be completely transparent. I made tons of money on Blue.
So did I.
Got a few cock rings and I flipped them. And I'm not mad about it. I mean, it was definitely a kind of like a, man, this guy sucks, he's shady, but like, he knows how to move markets, and you're gonna make money if you know how to trade along Beanie.
If you ever want to explain the absurdity of the NFT world to anybody that is outside of it, just explain to them that you sold a picture of text that said cock ring on it for what? They were going for like 5 ETH at the time.
Yeah, 5, 6 ETH.
Yeah, the floor was insane on those.
Wild. So yeah, we're talking like, especially at that time, $24,000 US, like just absolute obscene. But yeah, the B Gold token was, I think, pretty obviously a pump and dump by him. He was involved in
I mean, I spent the morning listening to I hate spaces because it reminds me of like the worst of the worst of Clubhouse, and that's like, I feel like most spaces are these days. And I spent the morning listening, trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And he claims that this is what Beanie claims. He claims that some anonymous dev spun up B Gold. And he still to this day holds all of his. He never airdropped himself some. The anonymous dev sent him some, and he even invested some of his own money. And so it was his quote unquote fault for not doing his own due diligence on the developer, and it was his bad for saying that he was going to, it was a meme. He was going to integrate it into everything, and he still had to this day says he has no idea who made it or developed that to begin with.
Poor guy.
Right?
Yeah, I really feel sad for Beanie.
Yeah, the millions he's made. Well, NFT
and isn't he anonymous? So I just feel like that means nothing.
The what?
Isn't he also anonymous?
No,
well, no. His identity was revealed by NFT ethics, and I think that at that point he was pretty much doxxed. But not for the better, because as it turns out, that a lot of things that he's done in life, even outside of the NFT space, was basically just shady as shit, and he has a history of this. Tying it back to our first discussion of Blur, knowing now, or at least the fact that he claims that he is a seed investor in Blur, finding out that Blur is going to be doing a token drop, of which Beanie, that was definitely one of his go-to plays in terms of how he made his money. I think it's made people a little bit uncomfortable about Blur, but I will say that it seemed to be like he was a second round investor. It's not like this is his company. I've seen nothing that states that he's like sitting on the board or has any kind of input into how this works. More simply, just that he's somebody with access and still connections and was able to put some money forward into it.
He
Not
did. Yeah.
entirely sure what it says about Blur to accept it, or if they even knew.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to. I'm not here to make any allegations about Blur, but
I don't know. I don't know either. He said it this morning on the Spaces that he's a second round investor on it in a seed fund or a seed raise, whatever. But that's the problem is like Beanie has a history of not disclosing that he's a founder of a project.
Right.
And he will go on Spaces, on Twitter, whatever, and say, yeah, like this is an awesome project. I really like it. I'm going to invest. I'm an investor, or I invested into it. But meanwhile, he was one of the original founders, and under a different name, under a different identity, kind of like Zagabond. But so it's kind of like, did he start Blur? Is he in from the ground floor? Is he an advisor? Is he just an investor? What is he actually in Blur? Like that's what we don't know. And that's what, unfortunately, we either might not never know, or it will come out later. Like he was actually a founder.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It is hard to see the forest through the trees with someone like this who is just like, you really got to take everything he says with a grain of salt. He might not have even invested in Blur. He might just be talking out his ass and saying like, yeah, hell yeah, I got in on this. See, like I'm still relevant. Like there's a very reasonable possibility that like that just didn't happen. I don't know. But I mean, Beanie definitely, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, almost seems like we've come full circle now. It's like Beanie is back. Like, does that mean that maybe NFTs are back? I don't know.
Like, he left when things were kind of bullish. Maybe he brings it back. I saw 888 tweeting, and everybody, those guys all left when shit was ripe.
Yeah, I mean it's a good point. 888 is another one. Like, if you want to talk about peak NFT hype and even just an alpha mint, how wild that time was when he did his inner circle drop and promised to change the lives of like he promised generational wealth to 8,888 people.
Wealth.
Drip actually bought me that NFT while I was at work. I'm slaving away at my day job. So I appreciate that. But I mean, it had an incredible run. It went all the way up to 0.3 or not 0.3, 3 ETH.
I think
he had all of
higher
these
than that, no?
If it was,
because I bought one for 0.2 and sold it for 1.5 before I went to bed.
No, I don't think it was much higher, if anything. Like, I remember that being the top because it was always one of those, like, I should have sold at 3. And also, Free Market just kept yelling at everyone saying, take the free 3 ETH, take the free 3 ETH.
Every day, dude. That was like one of my fastest sales. I had no idea what I was buying, though. So I was at a time I, like, could not sleep holding stuff. So I just would just sell before I went to bed.
Yeah, it's true. You were glued to it all night, like just being like, if I don't sell this, I'm just not going to stop thinking about it. Not you, like I mean in general, like I was too. But 888 again going down as basically one of the premier snake oil salesmen in the space, because not only did he not deliver generational wealth to 8,888 people, he then dropped another 100K collection. I just it never ceases to amaze me that people will double down on these like bad conviction plays.
Did anybody ever even get massages?
Oh, there was massages too. Yeah, the spa. I forgot about that one.
I almost bought back in for that.
You can get cheaper massages than that, my friend. No, it was like he had all these artists lined up and dropped like Jason Seif was one of the first ones. Literally the first thing that they airdropped to their holders was a rug. I mean, you simply can't write these things, right? Like you can't make that up. But
these rings,
if nothing, just like one of the most interesting times in the NFT space that we'll ever have. Like I don't know if that level of absurdity can be matched. And I'm unfortunately admitting that at one point I did drink that Kool-Aid, but I've redeemed myself, I think. Well, let's talk about this then, like, because I saw you pull up Cole there very briefly. Like, let's just do the NFT power rankings of people you do not want to be following. Like, is Beanie number one? Like, are we putting them at the top?
Yeah.
I mean, yes. I mean, like, you're probably gonna make money if you're shilling something. Like,
Well,
if you can get in early and he gets into his pump cycle, you
Yeah.
can probably make some money. Which is, I mean, all these guys probably. You could probably, I don't know, maybe 888 has burned enough goodwill where maybe no one would trust him anymore. But I don't know.
It's shocking to say that
probably.
888 has, but Beanie hasn't. But I actually think you're right.
Yeah, it's because 888 only. Yeah, I think 888 only lost people money versus like Beanie, who made a lot of people a lot of money, unfortunately and fortunately. So
888 kind
a
of
lot of,
flamed out too. Like, he got really offended by criticism. He was banning people from his Discord. Like, the second there was
dude.
any kind of like constructive feedback question or anything
Those
like that.
comments were so funny. Like, I remember so many people that were in Alphabet would come back with screenshots of being like, it was like a game of like,
Yeah, it
who
was a
could get
badge of
banned.
honor. I got banned
Yeah,
from 888's Discord.
yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I'm the type of person though that like enjoys following these people still.
sure.
So I would still say that Beanie would be like at the top of my list of people to unfollow, but I would still keep following them in the sense that I just love to watch their like
Yeah, when I say
the
follow,
stuff
I
happen
mean
and
like,
give me more reason to dislike them. Like, you know, when you follow somebody on Instagram, like an old friend, and you're like, man, I don't like this person, but I'm gonna still follow them so I can confirm that I don't like them.
yeah.
I love that. I love it.
My
Spike
Facebook
following?
feed is littered with people. It's literally the only reason I have Facebook anymore is to just watch the train wreck.
Yeah. I haven't even been on Facebook. I check in once a year to look at everybody wishing me a happy birthday, and then I dip out again.
oh shit, I forgot to wish. Oh shit, I gotta say happy birthday to the homie Jose. I totally forgot.
Holy shit.
Yesterday. You forgot too.
He wished me a happy birthday.
I know.
Well,
oh, I totally, and I had it on my calendar too, which is so nice. Anyway, okay.
happy birthday
Yeah, so
to
Today's Charlie's birthday, but I don't know if he wants anybody to know.
No, he knows. He said it. He was out there being like, "It's my birthday." It is, yeah. Well, I mean, Cole is up there. The other one that I would probably not put super high on my trust list would be Art Chick. That would be mine.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about Art Chick.
Yeah, like
she is Art Chick again. Okay.
Yeah, it was weird. Like, they were doing a lot of the you know, oh, I don't like you guys. I'm just gonna leave. You don't appreciate me. And then like 3 days later, like, I'm back. Like, you know, I'm rising above the haters.
Wait, I thought Art Chick was like some dude named Troy or something. Like,
no,
so out?
As it turned out, or I think, and this is why I'm still not sure. But Tanner Golding was the name of, and I don't know why I remember that, but there was a website found through like their email or something. I can't remember how it got linked back to it, but it was an affiliate website run by someone named Tanner Golding. Art Chick, did address that as Tanner Golding was actually the pseudonym, not Art Chick. So she was actually pretending to be a guy rather than a girl. But then I remember she released some videos where she had like her face wrapped up in like a thick scarf.
Oh, I remember that too.
Yeah. And then people were like, she was talking, but then people were like, that's a guy's voice. Like, now you're just dressing up as a woman, trying to double down on it. So I'm not even here to say anything about who this person is, but all of the above was just so absurd that like I cannot get behind trusting this person. And their actions have actually kind of justified that as well, right? Like, I mean, live your life as whoever you want to be. I'm not here to judge that aspect of it, but I'm just not I'm not going to have you beholden to any of my financial well-being if, you know, everything you do just seems to be some kind of falsity.
And then let's not forget, Art Chick sold her honorary Bored Ape.
Yeah. Well, they all did though. Kobe did too.
But Kobe was never an NFT guy.
I think more than he lets on, but well, as he said, he sold his honorary Bored Ape for some obscene amount and then bought like 10 Bored Apes with that money.
There you go.
And he was like, it's the best trade I've ever made, right? But yeah.
Yeah.
I I forgot that they had the honorary collection.
I don't even know what those
Yeah.
are. I've never heard
never
of those
seen them?
before. I,
Oh, you never
yeah.
seen them?
Oh,
They,
pull it back
they
up.
literally
Yeah, it's an
made
interesting collection.
they made an extra apes to give to influencers essentially to pump the project.
Yeah, there's
And they
tons
call
of
them
them. I think there's
honorary
like
board
100
apes.
I've
of them.
never heard that talked about once.
Oh, well,
Interesting.
That's crazy. Like I've been doing this for almost like 2 years.
Next week on Exit Liquidity, are the
Yeah.
Bored Ape honoraries a scam?
it's pretty wild. There's so much stuff that's happened in this space, like even the last 6 months that people instantly forgot about, let alone a year or a year and a half or 2 years. Like so much stuff just gets swept under the rug or forgotten because like
Yeah, I
so
mean,
much is going on always.
you had Cole pulled up the honorary, or not the honorary, the Pudgy Penguins drama. Nice to see them bounce back from it. Like that was a whole thing in and of itself.
We need like an NFT space almanac of all
the wiki.
I feel like you don't want that because it's just going to be like depressing, and you're going to realize how much people are just how shitty people are, and how many people have just been
never
scamming.
Never forget.
People don't forget.
Yeah. I mean, and like the crazy part too is like it's sad, but there's probably a lot of people who are considered to be either good guys or good girls or whatever in this space, and they're probably scamming the shit out of everybody.
Could be, yeah. I feel like I mean, well, actually, right on the side there, you might like Farouk is one of those people that.
Oh yeah.
That now, if you want to talk about a polarizing individual, Farouk would be on that because there are a huge amount of people that still love him and love what he does, and then there are a lot of people that just cannot stand this guy. I'm not going to weigh in on Farouk, but I mean,
I feel like part of it too is if you're an influencer, you're gonna make a bad call once. Someone's gonna get absolutely dusted by it and hate you forever, and therefore start the bandwagon. So
you're right.
I don't know. Again, like Farouk it's controversial. Like there's definitely been some maybe some pumping and rugging, but like on a long enough timeline, most of these guys are probably going to become the bad guy, or at least get enough people behind them that hate them.
And I'm not going to turn into an influencer apologist, but it does make an interesting conversation of like, once these people talk about a project, there's this idea that they're never allowed to sell. Right?
It's true.
Like you mention it in any kind of positive light and you're locked into your investment forever. Like I don't know how that's supposed to work, but like if you say, yeah, I like Pudgy Penguins, and then it 20x's, you're not allowed to sell 2 of your 10, 5 of your 10. Yeah. Like
I'm sure many of these influencers have finally realized like, hey, I'm gonna have secret wallets. Like I just don't want anyone knowing my public wallet.
The wallets get doxxed, and then it's a big like, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to say it's a lose-lose situation, because I don't feel bad for them, especially the ones that don't operate in good faith. Like if you're getting paid by something, just disclose it, right? Like just say you've partnered with them, you're working with them, you've consulted for them, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Have some selection process of like, I'm only going to deal with quality projects, not just anybody that's throwing a couple of ETH at me or whatever, and then just go from there. But I mean, not to get into this discussion, but it was kind of like the BitClout days. Like you just weren't allowed to sell your own creator coin, and if you did, it was a rug, and it was one of those things that like you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But regardless,
it is a weird kind of like paradox. Especially the creator coin thing, but we don't have to get into that. But that was just because everybody worked so hard to get theirs price up, but it just didn't benefit you in any way.
And you couldn't participate in it.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know. I mean, is there a solution to this? Like, I mean, what if they just announce like, hey, I will be selling this at some point, or announce their exit, like with their entry, like,
I think the proof is in the pudding of their actions. Like if they're on a Twitter Spaces and they go out there and they say Wolf Game is going to be the next biggest thing. Like I am so bullish on this. This project is going to be the gold standard of NFT gaming. And then 3 hours later, you see that they bricked the floor and dumped their entire bags. Like, yeah, okay, maybe you can take some exception to that. If in 2 weeks the project's 20x and they peel off a couple, I think that everybody else needs to just chill out, right? Like just chill out.
Yeah.
I think there's some give and take on both sides. Nice thing about blockchain is that it's all provable, right? You said this, and then an hour later you did that. So we've got it. But
Hey, look at this tweet from Pac-Man that just came out. So Beanie resurfaced today. We believe he's trying to opportunistically use Blur's launch to reestablish himself. Beanie does not have any influence or involvement with Blur whatsoever. His only connection is a negligible investment in the seed round.
okay.
Okay.
So for context, we accepted a small investment from Beanie before his full background was revealed. So this was probably going back a while. Upon seeing the record, we distanced ourselves from him and never interacted with him outside of necessary legal communications. Ultimately, his allocation was an inconsequential portion of our $11 million seed round. His tokens are vested over multiple years with an initial lockup, so his investment does not have any impact on our airdrop to the community either. If you have any questions or other concerns, please reach out. Okay, well, that's good. Live on the show, breaking news. No, but that context and that clarity is really important. And I mean, I think our interactions with Pac-Man has always been really good. So I'm going to take that at 100% face value and say that, yeah, it did seem opportunistic, and it turns out that it was. So there you go. Nice find. Live on the show.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. People hate Beanie, dude. Man, that's so funny.
Dude, a lot of people. Blur isn't super fond of him either.
No,
I think a lot of people got burned, man. I feel like, I mean, like, you see, I don't know if you guys follow Coinfessions, but like most people are not good at this. Like we are very lucky, and we are very. I think we're lucky to plug into a community with Alphaman and gain a lot of like very smart, very savvy traders. Like, and we came together and we all worked together, helped each other, and like a lot of people did not experience NFTs like that. A lot of people were on their own and struggling.
I agree with you. I think that's an important point. And honestly, like, as far as the space goes, by and large, a bunch of like trustworthy people too, right? Like everybody in Alphaman always seemed to have each other's backs. They were looking out for each other, calling out the good, the bad, the ugly, helping. I remember, do you remember when that big hack was going down and everyone thought like every wallet was compromised and nobody had any idea where it's from? Like, we went on there live and did a recording of how to revoke everything, all your access. Like Vincenzo was a huge help.
Vincenzo's the legend, dude.
Yeah. I mean, and he wasn't even a hugely active member of Alphaman. And like, it was one of the first places that he rushed to be like, hey guys, like, how can I help? Right. Just, it was an incredible community, and still going.
I remember, I have very few people's real life phone numbers from Alphaman, and the few people I did have, I'm like texting them. I'm like, get on now, like you gotta revoke access. Like,
that's what I find so crazy about all of this is like, I mean, I didn't find out R2's real name until like recently because you told me. And then like I still don't know like 99% of the people in Alphaman's real name. Yeah. Then we also had like a group like wallet worth over $1 million in orcs.
Like,
like was it it's just like crazy, like the journey that like when how much trust that there's been. But I do back that, like having a group to do this with has made it so much easier. I mean, I was a barber before this. Like you think like barely knew how to do a spreadsheet. It's just like how to.
I was actually jump into this. Like, I was actually having this discussion the other day with somebody IRL. They were asking me how, this stuff was going and whatnot. And I said, it's such a wild world, right? Because I work with all these people. I interact with them. I get paid by people. And like, they don't even know my real name and I don't know theirs. And like, it just works. And they're like, what? And I'm like, like seriously, the look of like confusion and borderline horror on their face was just like, but it just works because you have a reputation behind your pseudonym that is trustworthy, and somebody like Beanie is continually going to have a harder and harder time using this pseudonym that he has to operate profitably and in good standing because the trust is gone, right? But you have a reputation, you have trust, and if both sides have like a value proposition and money to spend on said value, it's just a transaction that works. And nobody wants to be the person that breaks that trust, because once your reputation breaks down, it's very, very difficult to regain it. And
Mhm.
it works the same as your real life name. You have a reputation, you have a resume, you have a list of people that will vouch for you. And the more people you burn, the harder it is to find that. But it just goes to show that like the pseudonyms are just as powerful, right? Like it really does work like that. And it's a fascinating conversation.
True.
Full circle going back to Beanie. Yeah, he's back, and maybe NFTs are as well. Let's move on to the next discussion. Warner Brothers tweeted out, is it too early for a GM? Maybe Warner Brothers a little late to
Where
the
did that tweet
GM
go?
train, as I don't know that most people are saying that these days. That's okay. But yeah, Warner Brothers is releasing Ethereum-compatible Lord of the Rings NFTs. Are movie NFTs the next collector's edition DVDs? Warner Brothers thinks so. That is the headline from an article on Decrypt. I don't know that we need to get too much into the nuance of like what the Lord of the Rings NFT is, simply because we've seen it before and we'll see it again. Big brands are going to drop NFTs based on their IP. It's going to be fun. It's going to add legitimacy, all that great stuff. Lord of the Rings is a big one though. Dirty, you want to talk to that a little bit?
In what regard? I mean, I'm excited. I think like a powerhouse like Warner Brothers getting involved in the space is nuts, especially on ETH. Like they're going L1, aren't they? Like this, which like they're usually when people come in like this, they go some weird route through like
all
an
these
L2
Solana or
chain or
Tether
something like
or
that.
Chain,
Yeah, but they're just like going for it. And I love web3.wb.com. It's just like, I don't know. They seem like they've got a great advisor behind them that seems to know what they're doing. So I'm excited. I don't really know what all this entails, but love the movies, love the show.
I'm kind of curious, like if are they trying to bring back like the era of DVDs? Like I can't tell you the last time I ever bought a physical copy of a movie or physical copy of anything in terms of like movie, music.
Ooh, here's an idea.
Like, because if they're trying to bring that back, like I don't care about owning DVDs anymore. Like I stream everything now. I don't need an NFT to say I watched a movie, or I don't care about that. Like me personally.
What about? I mean,
but you'll take one to say you played on a golf course.
But like a PO app,
absolutely.
Isn't like a PO app the same?
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of where we're going with that.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I don't really collect PO apps. The only reason I will get a PO app is because if like a brand or a company has a history of doing collectibles in like to get whitelist, you need the PO app. Like other than that, like I could care less about showing I was somewhere.
PO apps are more interesting as a bridge from digital to physical, right? Like I would find PO apps more interesting to say that I went to this sporting event, I went to this concert, I went to
I played the golf course,
I played the golf course, right? Like we all love our little collectibles from shit like that, the golf scores or, concert tickets and whatnot. Interesting though, like you were just talking about the DVD collection and whatnot. There's not a lot of use case for owning movies anymore because, as you said, for the most part, you just stream them and they exist. I think a lot of people felt the burn by getting these huge DVD collections, and then Blu-ray came out, and then it's just like, okay, this is a substandard way that I have hundreds of them to watch movies. Do I got to buy all the new ones? I think people kind of got burnt out on that, and then streaming came to save the day from presenting that. But, I mean, on Amazon and stuff like that, you can still buy and rent movies, right?
Yeah, I buy movies on like Apple TV all the time.
So let me present this to you. You could buy an NFT of the movie, and having that in your wallet allows you to access the rights to watch that movie regardless of what streaming platform it's on or, what resolution capability is. You just have the right to watch it and stream it at any point in time. And it's almost like a DVD collection, but it scales up with technology.
Sure, I could definitely see the use case behind it. Yeah, I mean, I can see use cases behind it. I personally just not going to do it because I can probably stream it somewhere or raise the old pirate flag and I'll be good to go. But I understand like I don't care. Dude, I grew up in those days. I've navigated the murky waters of torrent websites. I'm well seasoned. I still raise it from time to time.
One wrong click of a pixel will brick your computer.
Dude, I got a Mac, man. I don't got anything to worry about. So, but no, like I get it. There'll always be a group of people who want to brag about or show off or say they did something and other people didn't. So I get the use case. I don't know. I don't really see it for movies or DVDs. Like maybe if they got invited to a premiere event, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know, Dirty, you have any other thoughts?
I'm slightly confused by the like replacing the exclusive DVD experience thing. I don't understand what their goal is with that, if I'm honest. But I'd love to see some Lord of the Rings NFTs. Sorry,
I think it's valid. So I wanted to ask you guys this question then. Lord of the Rings, huge IP, massive following, people that are in it collect stuff from it too, right? What is one kind of what's another brand, if they had to be L1 Ethereum, do you think would just be an absolute game changer in terms of that? And maybe this would be like more ideal in a bull run, but what would get the juices flowing?
Harry Potter, dude.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna go with Akira.
What's Akira?
Akira, like the OG, like anime?
Yep.
Oh,
100%.
Well, I mean, that would be cool, but I just mean like as far as like fan bases go, like Akira,
Dude,
I'm sure has a pretty big fan base, but not like
it's
Harry
insane.
Potter.
It's insane. First off, you have the anime meta, checks that box entirely. Second, it's like like you said it yourself, the OG anime. Third, it's a legendary. And most people in NFTs are like probably fans of anime, if not weebs. I feel like it's a huge opportunity.
The fact that I didn't
me?
know what Akira was right away signals that it's probably a huge anime.
It's possible, yeah. I mean, that's my guess. I feel like there's that, or
Didn't Neo Tokyo pretty much rip off everything from Akira?
a lot of projects have pretty much ripped off Akira. But
I mean, isn't it like pretty much like an exact ripoff? Isn't that their whole thing?
I honestly don't know that
much. I'm pretty
Tokyo.
sure the characters in Neo Tokyo are like spitting images of the characters in Akira. Either way, I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. I would say like a Harry Potter, just something that's got like
Harry Potter has a hardcore fan base, and if you want to talk about like just an insane number of collectibles, like I know people that collect anything Harry Potter that they can get their hands
on.
And that's not even a knock. Like, it's fine.
I'm a huge Harry Potter fan.
I really wonder, like, if NFTs became a thing, how many of them would be like, well, I guess I got to get into NFTs now. Like, that might actually be real thing, right? Whereas like something like,
as soon as they just start labeling them as collectibles, I just like, it'd be so much easier.
You're right. And you know what? I mean, that might be the one. Sorry, Drip, what do you got?
For you're a huge fan. I mean, your freaking name, man.
Yeah, no, I was going to say Star Wars. I almost said Star Wolves. Star Wars. I think it's a given that Disney's going to be leaning into this regardless. I mean, they've done it with some Marvel collectibles, but like Star Wars on L1 Ethereum as some kind of like metaverse collectible, I think would be huge. It's just like they have so much content and so much mind share of people still, and like, the sequels maybe weren't the most ideal of movies that they could have released, but I really think that they're like hitting their stride now with like the expanded universe and stuff like that, and like the fan base is just absolutely massive. But I mean, talking myself through Harry Potter, I don't even know if it's bigger than that. I don't.
If Star Wars, I mean, dude, Star Wars and Disney is already the king of merchandising. I mean,
yeah.
Like even in the new films, they introduced like the stupid dice that hung on like the ships. Like, come on, that was such a merch play. But also like, look at this artwork. This is pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I kind of want this now.
There's only 1,000, and it comes with.
So there's 1,000 of these. There's 10,000 of these. So there's common, uncommon, and rare. I really don't understand. Like, so
it includes the full length feature film in 4K, 8 hours of special features plus commentaries. Okay, so this
I mean,
is actually like a
this is
utility
the-
thing.
It kind of sounds. This kind of sounds like a metaverse play, kind of too.
What I don't understand is why they would cap it. Why wouldn't they just do an unlimited run?
Well, so they're going to do this one. So that's 10,000, and they're going to do 1,000 of these. But there's also.
I would pay $30
There's-
for that.
Yeah, at $30, I just feel like it's just
Yeah, I
like
would say-
10K. Like it just seems. I mean, it's not tone deaf for sure, and I
There's
think that
2 more
whoever's
coming
advising
too,
them is
so.
like hitting
Yeah.
it on the nail with like the supply and stuff. But I just think for something like this, where it's like you're buying a movie, I get that this is. I mean, I guess it's good trade option. At least they're thinking about secondary.
I think that's exactly they're doing exactly what you're talking about. You literally buy this, you get the movie like forever. Like,
Interesting. Shows how much research we did on talking about this before the show.
I didn't even
Like,
realize that info was
nailed
out
it.
yet, to be honest.
I didn't either. Well, I think it's just more the idea of like Warner Brothers, like
When does this go down?
or
I
Warner
actually want
Media,
to
huge
participate in
company.
this. I will.
yeah,
I,
I
buy these.
think we kind of talked ourselves into.
I would assume the other two that are to come are going to be the other two movies as well, right?
yeah, the other ones for sure.
Crazy.
Dang, dude.
Cool, man. All right, we're at about an hour on the show. Do we want to talk about the house or do we want to save that for another episode? Let's talk
we
about
can
the
just-
house. You just pulled it up.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a
Um,
couple minutes.
In Web3 is ever pursuing the cross between physical and digital. An NFT in South Carolina has been sold for $175,000 for a house.
House.
I'm just amazed that houses anywhere cost $175,000. That seems like a steal to me. It looks like a pretty nice looking house too. It was listed and sold on OpenSea. It had traits, which I know Dirty Milk was a big fan of. You know, it's a 3-bedroom.
Yeah,
I just
3-bedroom.
love that.
I wonder what the rarities
so
would be on a 3-bedroom house over all of the houses in America. But yeah, this is fascinating. I mean, I lived through the ICO boom bust cycle of 2017, 2018, where it was like tokenized, digitized, decentralized, everything you possibly could. I still think that there's some use cases for this. I have a hard time wrapping my head around housing being one of them. You just can't convince me that unless there's some kind of technology that can be at play here, you can't convince me that someone can hack your ETH wallet, steal the deed to your house, and now you no longer own it. So how do you get it back? It's decentralized. The answer is you don't. So do you mint another house? I don't think. Then what's the point, right? So like, but at the same time, I love that this happened. Like I never want to underestimate people's desire to just, you know, bypass the middleman.
I'm curious if they touched on like if a scammer were to drain the wallet, like what happens. I don't.
What about Soulbound?
Yeah, but then you can never sell the house.
Yeah, but
As an NFT.
as an NFT,
Maybe as like I don't know.
Okay.
I just like I want it to make sense. I want it to be a thing. Like I just can't get there. And this is somebody that like really drank the Kool-Aid back then when the ICOs were like, oh, we're hotels.com is going down.
This
like,
is one of our favorite people tweeting. So instead of paying lawyers and wasting all the time on closing, you can just buy a house as a single ETH transaction. I've always had this idea that crypto will eventually replace realtors and the real estate market because there's so much nonsense that happens when you're buying a house. So much unnecessary fees, so much unnecessary paperwork. Like,
I think algorithms and computational like programming will replace those. I just don't know that it needs to be decentralized.
true.
That's my take, but like I'm all for like sticking it to like all of those little things that just jack the price up on stuff because they just take fees all the way down, right? Like I don't have
personally would do it for the utility, so it's just merch drops.
I'm still shook that 3-bedroom house was under 200K.
right?
I'm honest.
Yeah. I mean, get out of California and everything's pretty affordable.
Yeah, it's like a $2 million house over here.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying to Drep when we were looking at it too, or maybe actually you probably were there too. Like this is like a $1.5 million house in the city that I live in,
Yeah,
and it would have half the yard.
I'm curious if I haven't seen anyone talk on it, but maybe I'll look into it later. But I'm very curious what would happen if like, since they did tokenize this, is this actually the representation of the house? So if someone steals it or a scammer gets into the wallet, like what then? I don't know.
I
You have to be like, move on.
I can't believe
I gotta move out. Someone stole my NFT. Bye, guys. See you later.
But then the house is going to sit vacant because if the scammer moves in, then everyone knows who it was, or the hacker.
Touche. Yeah.
Maybe they just pay. Maybe you just have to pay them rent now.
Maybe. I don't know what squatting laws are in South Carolina
Rent
either.
to own NFTs. Yeah.
Oh God, that's a whole nother that sounds gross. Like
well, I could actually
landlord?
get behind the a rental deed as an NFT, and paying a transactional fee. Like I could actually see that as more of a thing. No,
Man,
silence.
digital slumlord.
Silence.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about digital slumlords now. That's all I can think of.
Perfect.
Well, on that note,
And his name is Beanie. All right, guys. Any closing thoughts you want to get out there before we wrap this show up? I know Dirty Milk's got to take his dog for a squeezing.
NFTs are back, and your least favorite influencers came with them.
yeah, absolutely.
That's the tagline for the show. Like, just put that right at the intro. Like this, he's got this like brooding stare of like.
Yeah.
And
I'll write it down now.
The movie
back.
guy voice.
Can you just let me know when my wallet's pumping? Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the hidden wallet's going to pump soon. Don't worry. All right, guys. As we wrap the show up, also just want to say if you haven't gone and subscribed yet, we're getting there. 60 subscribers on the Exit Liquidity newsletter, the bi-weekly
Kind of a lot in the last couple of days. Yeah.
Yeah,
awesome.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, hey, look, if 100 people watch this episode, we need at least 100 subscribers on there. So if you haven't, just go do it. Help us out.
Yep.
Do us a solid. And read it, actually. It's good, too. Drip always yells at me for not reading the newsletter. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. But I promise it is good. Every once in a while, I miss it. And you just catch me when I do. But on that note,
it hits inboxes at 4:30 in the morning, so that's probably why.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
I want to catch, because it's like the East Coast West Coast thing, so I'm trying to catch everybody, and a lot of people do. Like it's funny seeing the analytics. You'll see when I wake up, I usually wake up around 7 in the morning, so I'll see half the people catch it, and then throughout the rest of the day, usually most people open it. So
well, my bowel movement cycle hits at about 9:30 Eastern. So if you which isn't good because I should be on the AM show at that time, but this is
weird.
not just a desk chair. All right, we're done. If you're still watching this, subscribe, hit all those buttons on YouTube. Thanks, it helps us out. Gentlemen, we'll do this again next Thursday. Sounds good? Good.
Good.
So long.